United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This is a Preble Town Board meeting of April 14th, 2025. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections to the minutes from the March meeting?
Make a motion, we accept the minutes.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Jen?
Dog control, no report received. Justice report, March fees collected, $5,956.
Thanks, Jen. Highway report, Jeff?
Yes. I hit on some things we'll be talking about later, but Gork Construction, the FEMA project up on East Hill, the rock work is done. The bigger pipe is in. Basically, we're waiting for it to quit snowing so we can have them cut in the blacktop and reseal the surface. We will be talking about this later, but we got the state local agreement paperwork for the Curry Road Bridge project. Don will have some things on that. The chassis on order is now expected actually in June, July timeframe instead of near the end of the year. We just got notification. I sent out an email to everybody that due to steel charges out of Canada, they're looking at a $3,500 charge to cover the tariff. The plow equipment, that has not been ordered, and the steel for that also comes out of Canada. So, of course, we're waiting on passage of the state budget to see what our CHIPS funding is going to be for the year. I did meet with Paul Sheneman last month regarding the town hall. He asked for more details for the project. I worked with Jay Curry. He only a couple times mentioned that it was 80 degrees in Florida when I was talking to him. But we put together an RFP for the engineering for Paul. I got it to him a little over a week ago. He has not gotten a proposal back yet. The all-important town cleanup days will be April 25th, 26th, 7:30 to 3. And just as an FYI, there's a drug take-back April 26th at Portenville Station. And a couple of updates, Preble Cemetery. I want to thank the board, the guys I talked to, allowing us, we went up, spent 2 days up there cutting trees, and brush and limbs. Got it cleaned up so that commercial people could get in there and do some bigger work. I think that's it. Any questions? I'll have some more later.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. Jen? Let's see. Highway report.
Recreation,
Okay. No report with recreation.
no updates
Okay.
that I've heard.
County legislature, Kevin is not here yet.
Zoning and code enforcement, March report, 5 building permits, 47 miles traveled, 9 building inspections, 34 hours worked, 1 fire inspection, 2 complaint follow-ups, 6 telephone inquiries, and 24 hours of training. The planning board next meeting is April 23rd at 7 p.m. The next ZBA meeting is May 1st at 7 p.m. Historian, no report received. Town clerk fees collected in March, $1,627. Dispersed $1,615 to the town of Preble and $12 to New York State Ag and Markets.
Thank you, Jen. Unfinished business, post office. We need to think about, well, it's in the process. Jeff had mentioned it earlier, is that we're looking for estimates of redoing this entire floor here, and that will determine whether the post office stays or goes. So they haven't been forcing us to create an answer for them on their request. Not yet,
And
anyway.
I expect we're going to start hearing from them, Jim.
Right.
I have not.
Right, okay. So we're still in limbo on that. Next item, landscaping with the town hall. We have received one proposal for landscaping the front of the yard and maintaining that during the year. So we haven't received any other proposals besides the one. So we're not going to make a decision tonight. We'll wait until May,
And we're
and
gonna leave that open, we're gonna reject them all.
we can leave it till May.
Yeah, reject, but we're gonna leave it so we can reject any and all. If we find that it's too costly.
Right. Oh, yeah. We don't have to do this. Right. Right. So we will wait until May to pursue this and make a decision. New business. We just want to mention John Steger has passed away. His celebration of life will be on April 25th at the Preble Congregational Church at 12:30. And the town board will send flowers to his celebration of life. He was town supervisor. He was county legislator,
Fire chief.
fire chief. Yeah, he served the town of Preble very intensively during his time here. Nancy Daly has resigned from the ZBA, and we have her resignation letter here. And then we would also like to appoint Steve Roth to the ZBA, and he will be taking Nancy Daly's place.
So you might just have a resolution accepting her resignation, and then you make a motion to appoint Jim.
Right. So we need a motion to accept Nancy Daly's resignation.
Make a motion to accept Nancy Daly's resignation from the ZBA.
With regret.
I'll second it.
With regret. She's been a great member.
Yeah, oh,
Yeah.
yes,
She
yep,
has,
yep.
yeah. We got a second with Jim Harris. And then we need a motion to appoint Steve Roth to the ZBA.
Make a motion to accept Steve Roth to the ZBA for Nancy Daly's position.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Hey,
Carried?
Did you get a vote on the first one, Jim?
I don't think we got a total vote on the first one. So getting back to Nancy Daly, we have a motion and then a second,
It's a formality.
and then we all in favor.
Aye.
Carried. Okay.
Hey.
Thanks, Don.
Yep.
Okay, so next item, spring newsletter. We're working on the spring newsletter right now. Anybody who wants to submit anything to the spring newsletter for an article or any kind of announcement, please contact me and we can make that happen. We have to get a new web address. We've been notified that all municipalities have to have a .gov web address. So Tom Gath is handling that for us. He's working on it as we speak. Also, next item, Rich Cunningham contacted me from Toma Development about block grants. It's been probably 15 years since we've had a block grant in Preble. And so Rich said that we could probably apply and get another block grant. Now, these block grants come with strings attached and they're kind of a paperwork hassle. But just think about it. We don't have to answer tonight, but think about whether we want to do another block grant. I know it was beneficial for a lot of people in the town
Yeah.
when we had it.
mhm. So will we get the information on that, what the block grant entitles?
We could bring Rich in here for a presentation. Normally,
Yeah,
the last time we did this, you have to pay up front a few $1,000s, 3,000 or 6,000 or something. It was something along those lines. And there was no guarantee that you would get it. So you apply for it with the payment, but they have a pretty good idea. Rich has a pretty good idea of whether you're going to get it or not, because if you haven't applied for a long time, then you have a good chance of getting it. So he thinks that we have a good chance right now to get it. Funds are available. So we can continue this discussion next month. But I just wanted to,
With him.
yeah,
he
we could
wants to
bring him
come.
in. If you want to, I could have him come in.
Yeah.
He can do a talk for us. So I'll contact him on that. Next item on new business is bond financing for Curry Road Culvert and Bridge. So Don, can you kind of give us a summary of what's going on here? And Jeff, you can jump in too if you want to.
I was gonna say, he can take the lead.
All right, Jeff, you start it. Don will continue.
Quick history, about 7 years ago, I started applying for Bridge New York money. And through the process, you learn what to do and what not to. So I finally got it. Got the award last year. It's paperwork. It's New York State. It's a lot going on. The packet came in the mail, triplicate, and Don was gracious enough to jump right on it this week so we can try to keep this moving, because anything with New York State, even at full steam ahead, I don't see us even putting a shovel in the ground till sometime next year. So with New York State, it is a reimbursement grant, so we would have to spend the money up front. The caveat to that is through the engineering process, it's every 30 days you can put in for a draw off the grant. So we have a little over, because I didn't know if we were ever going to get this grant. We started stowing some money away for that job anyways, because I'd get hung if we ended up closing that road. So with that, we have $230,000 set aside in a capital fund for bridges and culverts. And Don and I talked about it, and probably right through until this time next year, if we do a permissive referendum allowing us to use that money, which is in the bank, until it comes time when they're pouring concrete and the big bills start coming in, which would probably be one or two big ones, all, and then get that turned right in and get the money back from the state. So basically be like a bond anticipation note.
You got it.
Down.
Yep.
Yeah, there'll be some interest in it, but it beats taking the $1.5 million on the chin. So that's basically, and Don's been, if we can get through these like 2 to 3 resolutions, I think we can move this project forward, and we'll have to get some signatures from you, Jim, in triplicate, and get this. Once all the paperwork comes back together, we'll get the green light, and from that minute on, we get reimbursement for any engineering that we do, anything. But until that moment, we're out.
So Jeff, just to clarify, this would be like a bridge loan, right?
Literally.
Pardon the pun, right? This is like a bridge loan. Like if you're building a house and you have to pay the contractor and you're waiting for the mortgage, your long-term mortgage, you kind of have a loan to carry that through. So in this sense, we are getting work done, and the state is reimbursing us with money, but we have to spend our own money first, money that we don't.
Reimbursement loan, yes.
Yeah, it's a reimbursement loan, so we would borrow money on the short term until we get reimbursed by the state.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. I've talked to a few other towns that have done this, and they've had, usually it's 30, 45, never more than 60 days. So as long as our paperwork is, and the Bard and Judas that we've been using has done a bunch of these, so they're dialed in on how to make sure the paperwork is straightened out, cross the T's, dot the I's, so that we get the funding back without playing a paperwork shuffle. So,
Okay. Don,
Like-
can you continue with this story for us?
yeah, just to bounce off to whatever Don thinks we need to do as far as a permissive referendum for that, and then 1 or 2 for the other.
Right, so as Jeff indicates, he's got an approval of 1.499 and change from the state of New York for this reconstruction project. So what the state then sends out is this paperwork that Jeff had dropped off. They want to see that we have passed a resolution basically approving that we're going to go ahead with this project, because it is our project to oversee and make sure the work is done. The state's role is simply reimbursement, obviously most important, but that's what their role is. So, and as Jeff described, there'll be engineering started once we get the document that if we approve and you sign, Jim, the agreement to do this project, then it's going to go to the state. They're going to sign it and send it back. At that moment, as Jeff says, then Barton and LaJudas, who this town has retained for this project, would move ahead with the engineering. And as Jeff says, those expenses are reimbursable. And as I understand it, those sorts of expenses are included in the cost of the project for reimbursement. But what we need to do, and what this resolution that the town or the state wants to see, includes a statement on our part, the town's part, that we have appropriated the 1.5, if you will, for the project. Well, obviously, we don't have 1.5 in the account, so we've got to appropriate it in some other way. So of the resolutions we need to pass tonight is number one, a resolution to spend, to release the funds that are in the highway fund, capital fund, which is somewhere over 220,000 to be spent on this project. That motion is subject to permissive referendum. Whenever you authorize capital funds be pulled out of an account that is a general capital fund, and you're authorizing it to go to a particular project, it's subject to permissive referendum, which means that we publish a notice in the newspaper that gives, the ability to file a petition if people objected. Which, by the way, have we officially designated the Syracuse paper?
We should do that,
Okay.
probably before we go any further.
Well, before we pass resolutions.
Yeah.
So that's one resolution. The second resolution is that we authorize bonding, serial bonding for this project in the maximum sum, I'm going to say, of $1.5 million. That tells us that makes the third resolution correct, that we've authorized it. Now, again, that resolution is subject to permissive referendum. So there's another legal notice that goes in the paper for that. Now, that resolution then gives the town the authority to borrow, and in permanent financing form, 1.5 million. And as Jim mentioned, and as Jeff has mentioned, we're not going to borrow that much. And Jeff had got me the phone number for both the engineer with Barton and LaJudas that's been involved, and the state rep, and called them both, left messages. They both called back. They were right on in terms of what Jeff had understood and what we had talked about. And they based upon their confirmation too, who knows just when or how much, but with the authority to do permanent financing of up to 1.5 million in this type of project, I think at some point when the digging really starts happening, you're probably going to buy a bond anticipation note, which allows for short-term financing of like up to a year, can be extended for another year, I believe, but somewhere 500,000 or 600,000. So you've got money to pay bills, because we have to pay all the bills in serial form, but you pay bills and then you send in, obviously, to the state proof of payment. That's part of your reimbursement. So with a rolling fund like that, and they both talked about 30 to 45, maybe max 60-day time period of getting the money returned, you wouldn't think you'd have much more tied up than that amount, 500 to 600. So that's the second motion. And again, that's not costing us any money today. That won't start costing you money till you actually borrow the funds.
Which could be next year.
Yes. And then the third is passing a resolution, the written resolution I put in front of you, which kind of restates that we're saying we're going to go ahead with this project. It says that we're going to pay for the cost of the project, and that we're going to seek reimbursement from the state of New York, and authorizing Jim to sign any and all documents necessary to move this project forward. So what will be submitted, they want 3 copies of the resolution and 3 copies of this agreement whereby we agree to do this project.
Okay.
First thing we gotta do is get the newspaper situated.
I think so.
So we need a resolution. We need a motion to make the Syracuse Post Standard our paper of record, newspaper of record.
So moved.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carried.
So the second, Jim, would be to authorize the expenditure of up to whatever's in the balance of the capital reserve account. I don't have that number.
Oh, yeah.
Just over 130.
230,000.
So, 230,000 from the capital reserve account.
All right, let me just take a look at this. Okay, it's called the Bridge Reserve account. So we need a,
I take that back. There's, according to March 31st, is that the last one?
this is March 31st.
That's 223. I take that back. It's looking like
223.
Okay. In the Bridge Reserve, okay. So we need a motion to expend $223,364 from the Bridge Reserve account.
Was that 364, Jim? 223, 364?
223,364,
350.
86 cents. Do you want to put that in? From the Bridge Reserve account to start funding the Curry Road Bridge and Culvert project, and this is subject to permissive referendum. So somebody could say so moved.
So moved.
Second?
I'll second it.
Go ahead.
Okay, Jim Harris seconds it. All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Okay. The next motion that we're going to need to make is to authorize the bonding of $1.5 million, serial bonding of $1.5 million, and this is subject to permissive referendum for the Curry Road Bridge and Culvert project.
With the understanding that there's a reimbursement amount of 1.499.
470. Yeah.
Okay, so somebody can say so move on that.
So moved.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Then we need a resolution, we need a motion authorizing the implementation of funding of 100% of the cost of a transportation project, which is the Curry Road Bridge and Culvert project, of which qualified costs may be reimbursed from the Bridge New York funds.
So moved.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
So that's the written
That's the written
resolution before
document
the
here.
board.
Right there.
Yeah.
Jen has a copy.
Does the board have any questions on anything that we just did? Okay.
I mentioned to Don earlier today, there's a lot of steps to early engineering to this. They've done preliminary boring samples to see what's down there, just so they know what type of structure had to be built.
Mm-hmm.
There's endangered species. They've got to check the stream bed for certain, which there was a hang up on the Lawrence Crossing down there by Suitcoat. They found freshwater mussels in there and they had to make more habitat for them upstream or something. But these things like that, they just take time. And
Sure.
to get this money, we've got to go through all the hoops.
Yeah, gotta get it rolling now.
Mm-hmm.
Get it rolling.
Okay. So we can move on to the next topic. We received from USPS $779, and from Northeast Transformers, we received $1,771.89. And before we pay the bills, we can ask Kevin to stand up, and our county legislator, and if you have anything to say tonight.
Questions? Anyone have any questions? Amnesty Day has been approved. I don't know if trouble does it
Yes, we do.
25th and 26th of this month.
this month.
Mhm.
Scott, they're into the better weather. They
We try to stay away from Mother's Day. We did that for years and we
Mhm.
moved it up.
We get the mothers to help.
Yeah, right. I sure they appreciate it.
This is probably two of the most popular days on the calendar in Preble, is Amnesty Days.
Yeah, I mean, it's a real good thing. We find that if you don't have it, it ends up being put on state land. In Scott, just littered with junk. Matter of fact, I think the last year was a abandoned boat.
Oh my gosh.
So,
Mm.
yeah, but no, there's nothing. Unless anybody has a question.
I have one question with the absence now of the Cortland Standard. Do you find that there's an outlet that has tried to fill in these gaps of communicating with the people of Cortland County?
Well, like you know, we have the post, you know, that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
For us, everything is online. We do have connections on our website to everything from our agendas to our votes that way.
Mm-hmm.
We are looking at, you know, maybe doing a newsletter at some point for it. It was our understanding, and it could be rumor mill, is that the building was purchased, Cortland Standard. I don't know. But we did hear that there were some people that were kind of interested in doing a paper. I don't know.
Rumors.
Hey, like I said, it is what it is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The only other thing that I really want to, you know, put out there is that with the county, one of the issues that we're seeing, it's been about a year and a half now, is ambulance service. Ambulances has been really a bad thing in Cortland County. 45 to an hour way to get there. Our sheriff's department, being the first responders, have had to put the patient, you know, in their patrol cars to take them to an ambulance. So the county is looking, you know, into it, trying to find out where the issues are. And really it's the outlying issues that we have. So one of the things that we're looking at is that we're looking at creating a countywide certificate of need. And at that rate is, once we can do that, we have 2 years as a county to provide a ambulance service. Doesn't mean that we own it. We can contract. Once it's that way, we can contract with Tully, for instance. Currently, if Tully crosses in Cortland County, they get their hands slapped by TLC because they're the ones that hold the certificate of need. So it's not really a territorial thing, but really what started this was that some ambulance services were picking and choosing what calls they were going to go on. Pretty much what paid the most, which really is not the driver of, you know, they're here for us, right? We have the certificate of needs that we have. And that has been a real big issue. So for instance, fall calls. They were not going to the fall calls. So then our dispatch is then going around to all these other places to try to get an ambulance to go to the fall call. Not knowing that, why did they fall? You know, was it a fall broken leg? Was it a fall, you know, stroke? Was it a fall from a heart attack? It wasn't that way, you know. And I probably, you know, is that a lot of volunteer firemen, they used to go to those calls and probably still do, you know, to some extent. But it has been a big issue to where TLC pretty much got their hands slapped by the state, saying you cannot pick and choose your calls. That's not why you're here. So anyway, long story short is we are doing a deep dive into this, trying to figure it out at some point. And, you know, once you do that certificate of need, the county may have its own ambulance service in the county. We don't know that. We don't want to be in the ambulance business. But we're seeing it as an urgency. Case in point, Kyler. They have nothing. TLC won't go out there. Madison County, which is just over the thing, they want to, but they can't. Unless it's a mutual aid call. So I've gotten educated, you know, onto this thing. So it does become a major issue. So we'll just keep you posted on that, because it is for Portland County, getting an ambulance there in a timely fashion is key, and that's what we have to do.
Another question, how is the central bus situation working out?
Central is working great. I mean, it's very professional. They have included, or increased the routes that we have. They've been on time. The app that they use has been a good thing, to where you can actually see the vehicle, the bus. You can see it going around the corner, so you don't have to keep looking. And the best thing too is they are ones that, I used to take First Transit from Cortland to Cornell University. And it was a one time in the morning, one time at night. And snowstorm or whatever, they would give us a call and say they're not coming. And Centro said that will never happen for them. So they are a good crew, and they will be coming up through here to connect to Tully. They just need the time to get it out there to get the right for them. I think it's really going to start at the state fair. I think they're going to be doing a route from Cortland up to the state fair and back.
Any other questions for Kevin? Okay, thank you, Kevin. Okay, so it's time to pay bills. We need a motion. Yeah,
I want to bring up down to the ballpark. There's probably about 20 sheets of those blue things that Homer School District put in for us.
plywood.
And we need to get that taken care of. I don't know if you were in contact with the Homer School before to see if they want to, at least if there's a big tarp out there that we'll never be able to move. We don't have the manpower that they used to cover the ball field up and stuff. So it should go if we're not going to use it. That tarp and figure out what we're going to do with all those pieces of plywood. We're going to try to fix it, if we're just going to take them all down or whatever. I mean, it looks like heck from 81. You can see part of it where it said Preble Park at one time up on top. It looked nice when Homer was using it, but it doesn't look so nice right now.
Jeff, do we have any use for plywood?
The plywood, the heavy wings came through the last batch. There's, I don't know, 15, 16 sheets maybe. And we've got it all stacked up on stickers, but it's kind of shredded on the ends and stuff.
And it's been weathered and waterlogged.
10, 12 years ago now, I don't know.
Okay, so do you think we should get rid of it on Amnesty Day?
Get rid of it. It's just the bigger question, I think, maybe where Dave's at is what to do with the rest of the wall that's there. It's kind of I don't know.
Well, I mean, we got a little bit of time if everybody just wants to go down there and look at it. I mean, it's really an eyesore, and it really looked nice at one time. Going down 81.
Maybe a safety issue too.
Oh, definitely. Maybe we just redo the top row where it said Preble Park and leave the rest of it open. I don't know, but that would be something that we would discuss together.
Did you have something worked with Homer School District when they put it in? Like the tower out back, I had it worked. If that tower is ever gone, they have to take it down. And I was wondering, if the school district had anything.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't talk to the school when they,
And Jim did. He's
Yeah.
the one that-
There were no agreements like that. Basically, it's our property. They donated that material to the park. It's ours. And the tarp is ours too. Unless
they
unless
may
they want to take it
yeah,
back, they,
or something.
we can ask them.
They got lots of ball fields going in down Cortlandville. Maybe they could use the tarp. We're never gonna use it.
Right.
It's just sitting there, probably rotting. I don't know.
Well, can we decide to get rid of the plywood then on the 2 amnesty days?
I mean, we
Dave-
can't keep. I mean, obviously, it's right there next to the where everything's gonna be dumped, but not now.
Yeah, we got it stacked up right next to our sand pile now.
Oh, okay.
Once the ground hardened up, we went out and kept it so you wouldn't have all the dead grass wherever it laid.
Okay. Let's hear from Dave.
One thing about all that plywood on there, it's just like a big wind stop. You get any wind or anything at all, it's just pushing it right over. And also on that line too, the batting cage, that netting on there, there's 2 posts on the north end. Well, end posts, they're leaning right over. So they need to be pulled up and so I can raise the net back up and mow under it. Or something with them, but they're just about half down, leaning right towards the south. And you either straighten and pull them up, put some guide wires on, which I ain't crazy about, to hold them upright.
Just like anything, if you don't use it, it's gonna deteriorate, unfortunately.
It is, well, back when I started mowing, the netting was hanging right down in the grass, and the grass was growing around it and under it and all around it. It looked like heck. And I did tie it up so I could go under it with the tractor and move around under it and stuff and make it look a little better. But it's over the winter time, then, as I say, them posts started leaning right down and gotta do something with that too.
And the insurance might say, it's not safe at all too. I don't know when we're
I didn't get a chance
for
to
another
look,
inspection.
at the letter from Nimer. Did that mention anything about the park? Cause I sent them down there after I talked.
Yeah. I didn't see anything.
Yeah.
I didn't read every word, but I didn't
Yeah.
see anything. They didn't, I don't think they indicated that we had to do anything.
Violations.
Yeah, we didn't have any violations. He actually said things were pretty good around here, so. All right, so let's think about that.
I get a picture.
We can talk about it, pick it up again next month. At this time, we need to make a motion to pay the general fund vouchers.
Make a motion, to pay general fund vouchers, abstracts number 4, numbers 61 to 81, totaling $30,244.90.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Need a motion to pay the highway fund vouchers.
I'll make a motion to pay the highway fund vouchers abstract number 4, numbers 24 to 32, totaling $132,063.20.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Okay. At this time, I'd like to open up the meeting. Yes, Don?
Jim, I just want to mention the moratorium on the wind energy conversion system that was filed with the Secretary of State February 20. And by its terms, it runs 270 days from February 20, which I've not done the calculation on,
Okay.
roughly 9 months.
270 days for that wind moratorium.
Yep.
Okay. Thanks, Don. Okay, at this time, I'd like to open up the meeting for public comment. Questions to the board or comments that you want to make? Anybody? Questions, Skip?
Question, Skip DeRocher. What's the status of the short-term rentals? When the law was passed in January, is any of the stuff being enforced, or is it enforceable, or it's just nowhere land for now?
It's nowhere land. It's not being enforced. It's in litigation.
Okay.
And you would expect, there's a court date. I wish I had it for you. I think it's in June. It's not, it's for oral argument and presentation. It's not for trial or anything like that.
Okay.
But it's in litigation.
Okay.
And because of that, we're not enforcing anything
Okay,
by agreement.
okay, thank you.
Until we find out what the conclusion of that litigation is going to be.
Okay.
So, but things are moving forward. They're moving along.
Yeah.
Anybody else? I think, yes, Steve?
Just a curious question. I am assuming that the upgrade, the bridge on Curry Road it's an upgrade. Is there some improvements that are planned?
Yeah, it's, what is there now is actually two culverts, and it's one of them's an old
I see it. It mentioned
steam
that,
boiler laying on its side. That actually is in pretty good shape, it's super thick. The bigger problem is next to it is a corrugated steel culvert put back in roughly in the early 70s, and the bottom is rotting out of that. Because of the regulations for that, it'll end up going from being a culvert actually to a bridge, because you've got to be able to withstand the 100-year storm instead of overtopping.
That was gonna be my question.
Yeah. And the other thing is it's got to do, from the DEC aspect, is it's got to have a clear bottom in it for wildlife, your salamanders or whatever, that can fish and everything through there. So yeah, it'll actually be a bridge. The other thing I may or may not have mentioned is a couple months ago, I got a sheet from the DOT, and in like 2028, they're going to be replacing the box culvert that leads into that right by the pallet factory. So I use that as an arm to get this replaced, because it's going to be a full closure. So if you close 281 at the pallet factory for a couple months, that'd be a big problem, especially if Curry Road bridge or this culvert failed at the same time. It'd be like a land island there. So it's kind of helped us that they're doing that. Okay.
Thanks, Jeff, for that explanation. Anybody else? Anything? Okay, if you don't have any more comments or questions, then we will make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carried.
Do you have these other two, Jeff, as well?
I'm ready to shut. Do you want them or is it Jim? Where do we?
Jim's got to sign it, I got to sign it. It's got to be notarized, so however you want to do it. If you want to, listen, if you want to grab